Hi, you're on the Reddit Confessions channel. She bit into a slice of toast like it was any other Tuesday. Same robe, same silence. Except this time, I didn't look away. She chewed. I stared, and when she glanced up and caught my eyes holding hers for too long, she paused just long enough for the question to fall out. "What's happening?" she asked, like I was the weird one. Like I hadn't just spent the last 30 days sitting across from a woman who treated me like wallpaper. Like I hadn't been pouring cereal and grief into the same bowl every morning while she walked by with AirPods and apathy. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't blink. I didn't even breathe deeply. I just said, "I'm waiting for the divorce papers." The silence that followed was different. Not empty, loaded. She didn't cry. She didn't argue. Her jaw just stopped. Michu. And I swear the clock in the kitchen got louder. Here's the part I never told anyone. I wasn't bluffing. The night before, I'd printed the paperwork. Not filed, just printed. They sat in the bottom drawer under old manuals and receipts I used to think mattered. And all I had to do was sign. But I hadn't yet. Not because I was hoping she'd come back to me, but because I wanted her to ask. Ask me why I was done. Ask me what she did. Ask me when I stopped loving her. But she never did. Instead, she scrolled. She went for drinks. She smiled at texts that weren't mine. She laughed in rooms I wasn't invited into anymore. And I sat in the corners of our home like a guest overstaying his welcome. I used to think love died loudly with shouting and slammed doors. But it doesn't. It dies exactly like this. One day the silence becomes normal and the only sound left is a goodbye you whisper to yourself. The next morning the air felt different, charged. She moved slower than usual, her eyes brushing past mine without landing, as if she was trying to decode a language I had just started speaking. The one where I finally stopped begging. She didn't say anything about what I told her. No confrontation, no apologies. Just made her coffee, scrolled her phone, and walked out like it was just another Thursday. But I saw her glance toward the hallway drawer, the one with the printer paper, the old receipts, and now the unsigned divorce papers sitting on top. I left them there intentionally. That drawer had become my silent scream. She never opened it, not once in years, but I knew she would today. And sure enough, 30 minutes later, I heard it. That soft wooden scrape followed by complete stillness. No footsteps, no phone buzzing, not even the creak of our terrible kitchen stool. Just pure, motionless tension. Then I heard the paper shift. 10 minutes passed before she entered the room again. Her eyes were puffy, not red, not wet, just swollen with whatever emotion she refused to show. I sat at the table like I'd been glued there all morning, sipping coffee that had gone cold an hour earlier. She stood near the counter, arms crossed, one hand clutching the edge like she might fall over if she let go. "You're serious?" she said finally. Not a question, not even disbelief, just a dull, flat confirmation, like she had seen this ending coming longer than I had. "I am," I replied, my voice quieter than I expected, but steadier than I'd ever managed before. "You were never going to say—" At first, she looked down, lips pressing together like she was sealing some secret shut. "I didn't think you'd actually go through with it," she said, still not looking at me. "You always just waited." I let the words hang. She was right. I had waited for her to love me again. For her to choose me over her phone, her new late-night projects, her endless girls' weekends that didn't include any photos or tags. I waited until waiting started to feel like dying in small pieces. Then she tried it. The guilt grenade. "So you're just giving up? After everything we've been through?" Her voice cracked a little at the end. Almost convincing. Almost. I tilted my head. "I gave up a long time ago. I just didn't say it out loud." She flinched. That was the first real hit. Her eyes darted away, and suddenly I saw the shift. Not sadness, not regret, just calculation. She wasn't mourning a husband. She was assessing what she was about to lose or how much she could still keep. She picked up her phone and walked out of the room, tapping away. Not a single tear shed. But I noticed something. She never asked who saw the papers, never asked if I told anyone. That's when it clicked. She had secrets she couldn't afford to expose, and I had just made her nervous. It happened 2 days later. I wasn't even trying to snoop. Honestly, I'd reached the point where knowing more hurt less than guessing. But she left it there, Her phone, face up, unlocked, glowing on the arm of the couch like a lit fuse. She was in the shower. Steam was humming through the pipes. I sat frozen, my heart pounding like I was about to rob a bank in my own living room. I didn't touch it at first, just stared. The last message preview read, "Tell him yet," smirking face. My breath caught at that stupid smirking emoji. I tapped the screen. Her messages were open to someone named Jayla. Not a co-worker, not a cousin, no last name, just the kind of contact you save when secrets matter more than clarity. And the thread, a goldmine of quiet destruction. Jayla, you sure he's not catching on? Camille, he's too passive. I could vanish for a week and he'd apologize for making me feel guilty. Jayla, your evil face with tears of joy. Camille, nah, just strategic. The condo's almost in my name anyway. That was the first slap, but it got worse. Screenshots of hotel bookings, 2 guests, always late-night check-ins, always under her maiden name. Photos too. Nothing explicit, but damning enough. A blurry mirror pic of a man adjusting his tie behind her in what was definitely not a hotel lobby. Another one. Her holding a wine glass, grinning, the timestamp overlapping with the night she claimed she had food poisoning. But what burned the most was a voice note. My thumb hovered over it. I knew I shouldn't. I knew hearing her voice outside the version she used on me would tear me open, but I tapped play. He's so boring, Jayla. He acts like breathing around me is a privilege. I need someone who doesn't look like he's asking for permission every time he touches me. I paused it there. That was enough. My stomach flipped. I didn't get angry. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I laughed quietly, bitterly. The kind of laugh that only comes from realizing you've been the punchline of a private joke for years. She came out of the shower, towel around her shoulders, saw me sitting there, not with the phone, but holding the divorce papers in one hand and a pen in the other. I didn't even need to say it. Her eyes flicked to the couch. She knew. I saw the twitch in her jaw, the calculations spinning behind her eyes again, fight, flight, or fake tears. She chose the third, but I held up my hand before she could speak. "Save it," I said. "You've already said enough." She looked at the papers, then back at me. Her face softened, not with guilt, but with strategy. "We can still fix this if we, Camille. The only thing broken was my ability to see you for who you really are." And with that, I signed the bottom of the last page. The next morning, I left the signed divorce papers on the kitchen island, weighted down by the mug she always complained was too chipped. She didn't wake up when I left for work. I didn't say goodbye. I didn't even close the door quietly. But by the time I got home that evening, the silence was gone. She was sitting at the table waiting, papers untouched, pen beside them like a trap. Her makeup was perfect, her hair down, dressed like she hadn't spent the last month treating me like I didn't exist. The moment I stepped through the door, she smiled, not warmly, not sadly, strategically. "We should talk," she said gently, like she hadn't humiliated me in her own messages. Like I hadn't heard her voice say she was embarrassed to be touched by me. Like she still thought she had cards left to play. "I don't want to talk," I said, setting my bag down. "I already signed. You don't even need to respond. Just let it happen." She tilted her head, and then came the worst part. She laughed, quiet, low, calculated. Not because anything was funny, but because I still hadn't understood how little I meant in her version of this story. "You think you can just walk away now?" she said, standing slowly. "After everything we built." "Built?" I echoed. "You mean the life I paid for while you made secret hotel bookings with a guy whose name you don't even save in your phone?" She didn't deny it. She didn't even blink. She just shrugged like I had finally said something mildly interesting. "I got bored," she said simply. "I thought you knew." That sentence cut deeper than any affair. Bored. I wasn't even worth disliking. I was just boring to her. Background noise. But then she changed tactics. "I'll tell you what," she said, stepping closer, lowering her voice. "Let's just call this a rough patch. We can figure it out. You don't need to file anything. I'll even put your name back on the condo." I froze. That was the first time she admitted what she had done. She had taken me off the documents months ago. I didn't even know until I accidentally saw an email with the updated ownership. She had erased me from our future just like she'd been erasing me from our present. I don't care about the condo, I said flatly. She blinked. Then what do you want? And I told her, I want a life where I'm not constantly being tolerated. She crossed her arms, scoffing. So what? You're suddenly the strong one. You're going to start over now, please. You can't even stand up for yourself in an argument. I walked right past her, picked up the papers and dropped them into her hands. I don't need to win an argument, I said. I already won the moment I stopped trying to make you love me. She didn't follow me. Not that night, not the next day, but I knew something was coming. Camille was many things, but predictable wasn't one of them. She wouldn't let go that easily, not because she loved me, but because losing meant someone else saw her as beatable. And Camille didn't like losing. It was the kind of knock that doesn't wait. Sharp, 3 quick hits, confident, not desperate. For a moment I thought it was her. Camille coming back to scream or plead or throw some new insult my way, wrapped in a fake apology. But when I opened the door, it wasn't her standing there. It was a man, mid-30s, neat beard, button-down shirt, holding a set of car keys in one hand and something else in the other. An envelope. You, Luther? He asked. I nodded slowly. I think we need to talk. He just handed me the envelope. I didn't take it at first. I looked him over, trying to figure out if this was the guy. The one from the photos, the one from the hotel bookings, the one she chose over me. But something was off. He didn't look smug. He looked tired, and not the kind of tired that comes from a long drive. The kind that comes from carrying a secret too long. I'm not here to cause trouble, he said quickly. I didn't even know about you until last week. That was enough for me to grab the envelope. I stepped back and let him in, though every nerve in my body screamed not to. He sat on the edge of the couch like it might bite him. I opened the envelope. Inside were copies, screenshots, emails, a printout of a bank transfer, and at the top, Camille's name, not mine. She had opened a second account, a private one. She had been siphoning money from our joint funds, little amounts weekly, just under the radar. It added up to over $11,000. She said it was for a down payment on a place for us. The man said, I didn't know she was married. I swear, man, I would have never. I held up a hand. I didn't care about his innocence. I didn't care about his guilt. What mattered was the clarity. Finally, something that wasn't silence or manipulation, just cold, raw truth. She told me her ex was abusive, he added. Said you were controlling, that you'd kicked her out and she had nothing. That made me laugh out loud, not because it was funny, but because it was almost poetic. She didn't just lie, she reinvented me into a monster so she could play the savior. While I was cooking her dinner and folding her laundry, she was out spinning stories that painted me as the villain in a drama I never auditioned for. I asked him the only question I could still stomach. Why are you telling me this now? He looked me dead in the eye and said, because she did the same thing to my friend 2 years ago. Different name, different story, same pattern, and I should have known better. I stood in that living room with the envelope in one hand and a tidal wave of exhaustion in the other. Not just tired of her, tired of all the versions of myself I tried to be for her. The patient one, the understanding one, the spineless one. I thanked him and closed the door. He didn't ask for anything in return, didn't ask me to expose her. He'd done his part. Camille came home late that night. No apology, no comment, just a cold glance and a tossed jacket. But I saw the flicker of unease in her eyes when she noticed the envelope sitting on the counter. She didn't touch it, but I could tell. She knew her time was running out. The next morning, Camille acted like the envelope didn't exist. It sat right there on the counter between the salt shaker and the bananas like a ticking bomb no one dared to acknowledge. She walked past it twice, once humming, once pretending to be distracted by her phone, but I saw her glance at it, saw the flicker of fear behind her casual performance. I didn't say a word. I just made coffee, sat down, and let the silence work for me this time. That's when the shift began. She started being nice, not fake nice. Camille was too smart for that. She was calculated, subtle. A soft touch on the shoulder, a smile that didn't reach her eyes. A comment about how quiet mornings feel kind of peaceful, right? As if the month of silence hadn't been her Cold War campaign against me. By lunchtime, she upped the effort. She cooked. She cooked. Camille hadn't made a real meal in over a year, unless you count avocado toast and criticism. But now, suddenly, there was a roast in the oven and candles lit on the table. She even wore that sweater I once said I loved back when she still cared about my opinions. I played along. I quietly didn't compliment it, didn't complain either. Just let the silence press down on her for once. She was cracking beneath it. Finally, she spoke. "I've been thinking about us," she said, setting her fork down, "and I know things have gotten complicated." That was her word for betrayal. "I've made some mistakes," she continued, her voice soft, her gaze low. "But I don't want to throw away what we've built. I was scared, that's all. Scared you didn't love me anymore. Scared you stopped seeing me." I nearly laughed, but I didn't. I stayed quiet, watching her dig herself deeper. "You didn't fight for me," she added, like she was the victim in all this. "You let me drift." And there it was, the twist. She was rewriting the story in real time. According to her, the problem wasn't that she lied, cheated, and stole. It was that I failed to stop her. She was turning herself into a woman who acted out because she felt unloved, not because she chose to be cruel. "I just want to fix things," she whispered, reaching across the table, placing her hand on mine. "I want us to feel real again." I looked at her hand. It trembled slightly, not from emotion, from panic. She wasn't trying to fix us. She was trying to protect whatever fallout was coming once I opened my mouth and told her what I now knew. "I think you should read what's in that envelope," I said finally. She didn't move. Her hand stayed on mine like she thought she could freeze the moment, but the performance was over. Her eyes shifted, one quick glance toward the counter, and I saw it. The recognition, the fear, the endgame. "What is it?" she asked like she didn't know. Her voice was higher now, a pitch too careful. "You'll find out," I said, standing up. "But don't bother playing innocent. You already rehearsed the wrong script." I left her there at the table, the candles still burning, the illusion crumbling. I went to the bedroom, locked the door, and for the first time in months, I didn't feel like the one hiding. By Saturday morning, I thought maybe she'd backed off. Camille had stayed out the night before. No texts, no calls, no passive-aggressive slamming of the door. And for once, I slept, not well, but without the constant tension of wondering what stunt she'd pull next. I thought maybe, just maybe, the silence meant she'd accepted reality. I was wrong. When I came downstairs, the envelope was gone. Not moved, gone. The counter had been wiped clean like it had never existed. The chipped mug I used as a paperweight was in the trash. Not broken, just discarded. That was the warning shot. Camille came home around noon, dressed sharp, hair perfect, not a trace of the chaos she'd been living in. She looked like the woman I met 10 years ago. The one who charmed every room. The one who could lie without blinking. "We need to talk," she said without even sitting. I didn't respond. She paced in front of me like she was preparing for a court hearing. "I've made some calls. You're going to get something in the mail next week." I raised an eyebrow. "What kind of something?" Her lips curled ever so slightly. "Legal response. See, I spoke with someone about what's been happening here, and it turns out emotional neglect is a form of abuse. Documented, repeated, provable." I almost laughed. "You're accusing me of abuse? You've been cold, distant, passive. I've got messages to friends. I've got a therapist's letter." She paused, then delivered the final punch. "And if this goes to court, I'm getting the condo and spousal support." It was brilliant, twisted, calculated. She hadn't just planned to ruin our marriage. She had built an exit strategy designed to make me look like the villain. The envelope, the truth, hadn't scared her. It had motivated her. I stood up slowly, heart pounding, but voice calm. "You deleted the documents," she smirked. "No, I shredded them." That word hit me like a slap. Not because of what she destroyed, but because she wanted me to know she had control again. And I realized then this wasn't about love, regret, or even revenge. This was a game, and she was playing for keeps. "I've already made copies," I said. But it landed. The smirk twitched, her jaw tightened. "Of course you did," she said through gritted teeth, "because you're paranoid, always preparing for some disaster that never comes. No wonder I had to look elsewhere for attention." She didn't flinch saying it. No shame, no regret, just a casual confirmation that I'd been replaced emotionally long before I ever found the evidence. I walked past her, grabbed my keys, and left. I didn't know where I was going, but I knew if I stayed, I'd explode. And that's exactly what she wanted. One outburst, one scream, something she could record or twist or claim as proof. Instead, I gave her nothing. But that night, I got something even worse than confrontation. A message from my boss, a formal request for a discussion next week. Someone had sent an anonymous tip about instability at home and unresolved aggression. Camille hadn't just gone after my heart, she was going after my life. I didn't sleep that night, not out of fear, but strategy. Camille had turned our divorce into a battlefield, and I wasn't about to let her walk away with both the condo and a halo. If she wanted war, fine, but I was going to end it on my terms. Sunday morning, I made one call, just one. To the man who had shown up at my door with the envelope. Nathan, the one who'd been duped by Camille before, just like me, I asked if he was willing to help. His response, say the word. He wasn't the only one. A few hours later, another message came in from Jayla. Yeah, that Jayla. Turns out she wasn't just Camille's partner in crime, she was also tired of being used. I had no idea Camille had dragged her into lies at work too. False references, manipulation, even using her name on an apartment lease she was planning behind my back. And then the final piece dropped into my lap. A co-worker of mine, Rachel, sent me a forwarded email. It was the same anonymous tip Camille had tried to use to sabotage my job. But she'd made a mistake. She'd sent it from a burner Gmail account that she had once used to sign up for a couple's retreat. Same name, same recovery email, amateur hour. I printed everything, laid it out, labeled it. I even included the old bank statements, the messages she never deleted from her cloud backup, and the screenshots Jayla gave me. I wasn't planning to destroy her, I was planning to finish this. Monday morning, I dropped it all off at my lawyer's office. By noon, Camille got served. I wish I could say she screamed or cried or begged. But no, she didn't say a word. She just stared at the envelope in her hand the same way she used to look at me, like it was something boring. But now that look couldn't hurt me. The next few weeks moved fast. Once her lies were exposed, especially the anonymous tip to my employer, her leverage crumbled. I kept the condo, no spousal support, and I didn't even have to fight for it. She backed down when she realized the truth wasn't just going to cost her the game. It was going to cost her everything. As for me, I started fresh. A smaller place, quiet, my own. I got promoted. Turns out integrity still matters to some people. Cook for one now. I leave the drawer open sometimes just to remind myself that nothing stays hidden forever. And for once, the silence around me isn't heavy. It's peaceful. This time, I'm not waiting for the papers. I'm building something better. That's the end of the story, but tell me which moment shocked you the most. Was it the envelope, the fake abuse claim, the anonymous tip? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We read every single one. And if you've ever been pushed to the edge only to come back stronger, you're not alone. You're watching Reddit Confessions. Hit subscribe for more real stories that prove the truth always comes out.